Hello, everybody. I'm Montserrat at the Yoga Therapy Institute, and welcome to this webinar on prevention for breast cancer as part of breast cancer care, which we offer in our school. And this is our first free webinar on this subject, and we're going to talk about prevention because it's a very important subject. As a matter of fact, a lot of the courses that we do in our school are yoga therapy for when somebody has already been diagnosed with breast cancer. But what about prevention? And are there any tools that we can use? Is there any action that we can take as females? And perhaps you were assigned female at birth. And what is it that we can do? What is it in our power to be able to do? And is there any information out there that can actually help us to make an informed decision? Now, this is really valuable for us because there's a lot of information out there that may seem that is not available to most people. Scientists know it. People who are in the education system, they can go in it. Anybody who's a member of PubMed, doctors, medical professionals, some therapists. But what about the rest of the people, the women? And do we have the right information? Are we properly informed about any tools, actions, behaviors, changes in our lifestyle that we can actually take onto ourselves, and that we can actually make the decision, do we want to take that action or not, when it comes to the prevention of breast cancer? Now, breast cancer is the #1 cancer diagnosed in women, so therefore this is a very important conversation. I hope that you will enjoy it. I've taken information and we've gathered a lot of knowledge from different sources, which I will actually mention, and you will also receive the presentation and the materials in a separate manner so that you can have access to it, and that you can actually check out all the information for yourself. So this is the purpose of this webinar, that you learn, you hear about this knowledge, made accessible for you from the scientific community, so that you can understand it, make it very clear, and then you can make your own decision. Is this what you want? Are there any changes that you want to take on in your life? How are you going to do it? Are you going to be able to integrate it in your life? Is this a choice that you're making? Because we are bombarded with information that makes us very scared. Obviously, this gives breast cancer, this causes breast cancer. What do we do? There's so much information out there. And if you go onto Google, then, then absolutely it's going to be very scary. And it's hard to decide. So we've kind of like used a little bit of a funnel model to say, okay, this is the most important basic information that you need to know about prevention for breast cancer. And then, of course, you are going to make the decision. Is this what I want to change in my life? Can I make some changes in my life in order to prevent breast cancer? And how am I going to share it also with my loved ones? So I'm going to begin with a presentation. Don't forget to take notes, although you're going to receive the recording. But those of you who know me know that sometimes I say more than there is in the presentation. So if you want to take notes, let's go for it. Here we go. So, what you can expect from this presentation is a differentiation, first of all, between early detection and prevention. Prevention is something else. Prevention is the measures, the tactics, the strategies, the action that you're going to take before and in order to prevent, to make sure, or to reduce the risk of the onset of breast cancer. Now, early detection is very important as well. Of course, we want to have that screening that allows us to check, are there any abnormal cells? And therefore, yes, the right treatment can be taken on. However, here we're going to talk about prevention, and we're not going to talk about any of the screening procedures that take place in order to detect possible breast cancer. no one can actually say for certain why a woman gets breast cancer. So some of the things you're going to hear in this webinar, you say, oh yeah, but my mother does this, and she's always smoked, and she's always drank alcohol, and she's always done these actions, and she's never had breast cancer. Well, yeah, absolutely yes. Nobody knows exactly why. And nobody can also guarantee that a woman will not get breast cancer, even taking all the measures. However, there is something called reducing the risk. So there is a possibility that you can have it in your power to reduce the risk of breast cancer. And if there is a small possibility, you can take it. There is no perfect science-based evidence. So of course, everything that we're sharing here today, it is science-based, it is science-informed. We've checked out all the studies, and you're going to get all the links for this so that you can look at them yourself, although some of them, well, they're not so accessible when it comes to scientific language. But there is no perfect science-based evidence for anything. There is quite a science-based evidence that is quite perfect for smoking, but regarding cancer, breast cancer in particular, is just about it. So alcohol as well, but there's nothing perfect, and you're always going to find the exceptions. And then there's going to come out another study that says that maybe perhaps it's a little bit different. So the good thing about this webinar is I'm going to tell you when something is not 100%, when something is not even 80%. Sure. So I will inform you to say, okay, this may be, but please read this research carefully, because it doesn't mean that it will be 100% for sure. Nothing is 100% for sure when it comes to the evidence of cancer, onset of cancer, and particularly breast cancer. We don't have protocols, not only us, but nobody has protocols. There's no like you do this and this and this for somebody with breast cancer. Everything has to be adapted to each person. So everything that I'm going to share with you today, as a matter of fact, is going to be interpreted by you, by your life, by your experience, by your physical condition, your mental health condition, and then you will be able to decide and adapt it to yourself. And that is also even when there is breast cancer treatment protocol. So it's a whole person approach. As you're going to see, we're going to look at different aspects. And I want to also bring up to you that yoga therapy, together with other therapies you're going to hear in this webinar, is complementary therapy. And when we're talking about complementary and complementary work, it's fantastic, it's brilliant. It means it complements, yes, conventional medicine. However, just activating or doing one complementary therapy, let's say aromatherapy, or let's say you want to do acupuncture, or let's just say you want to do some form of mental health complementary therapy, just by themselves, very possibly it's not going to be enough. So we prefer to talk about integrated care. And integrated care means that you're going to get, as we're going to see, different aspects, different ways of approaching this matter, the matter of breast cancer, and integrate it into your life, and integrate different treatments together with conventional treatment, as well as all the other complementary therapies that we're going to mention. So that is what we like to talk about. We like to talk about integration rather than only just complementary therapy, but integrative therapy. Some of the resources, just to give you an idea, is Nature Science Journal, the World Cancer Research Foundation, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the US, British Journal of Cancer, PubMed, of course, Cancer Research UK, and the work of Dr. Nina Fuller, who we will offer you actually a way of connecting with her, and with the Synthesis Clinic, Integrative Cancer Care. And as well, they have this amazing app where people who have been diagnosed, women who've been diagnosed with breast cancer, they can actually participate in, be part of the statistics and a lot of the work being done by Dr. Nina Fuller and her clinic, Synthesis Clinic, which are working with women in breast cancer who have breast cancer in integrative medicine. So Why? Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to do this? Well, we want to do this because there is a chance. There are chances that we can reduce the risk of breast cancer. So this is the reason why we are doing it. As I said, breast cancer is the #1 cancer diagnosed in women. And so it is important. It's a mothers, daughters, sisters, and it is essential that we are informed about what is science saying, what are they finding out, and what are the chances that I have to make some changes in my life to reduce the risk of breast cancer. And this is the reason why. And I invite you to write down your why. Why are you here? Why do you want to reduce the risk of breast cancer? Maybe there's somebody in your family, maybe something that you've been thinking about lately because you've gone into the menopause. Maybe you are worried about your daughter, about your sister, about your mother. So what's the reason why you want to know all of this? Why are you here? And once you know the why, then it's going to be easier to apply some action, yes, and apply some tools and techniques in your life. In general, factors that can influence risk of breast cancer are lifestyle factors, as a matter of fact. They are important, and they're the ones that we're going to talk about. There's also systemic factors, part of the system, like racial differences, social economics, and inequality. So still the risk of getting breast cancer by women of color in the US, for example, is lower. It's about 4% lower, but the death rate is much higher because they don't have the sources, the resources. And so social inequality seems to be a problem, particularly after breast cancer has been diagnosed. Chemical and radiation exposures, that is important. You've heard about products that we use in our skin, in our hair, but particularly in the environment. That is quite an important matter. And of course, genetics. Genetics is not the full picture. None of this is the full picture. None of this is the full picture. So if you change the lifestyle factors, but you are being exposed in the environment, then that also needs to change. Even the place where you live can make a difference. Yes. And it's a whole, there's also mental health, there's also the accessibility to medical care, the accessibility to good produce, good food, for example, fresh fruits and vegetables, and that is not being overexposed to chemicals. There are a lot of factors involved in the risk of breast cancer. There's not just one thing only. So a higher risk of breast cancer has been associated with alcohol consumption, being overweight and obesity, diabetes type 2, lack of physical exercise, social and environmental issues, diet and nutritional factors, some of them, menopause as well, higher chance, night shift work, maybe, day to night disruption, maybe, exposure to radiation, consumption of food with some chemicals and some pharmaceuticals, hormone treatments. And we're missing here smoking as well in the list. It will be added to your list. So alcohol consumption and smoking, both of them. Regarding some pharmaceutical hormone treatments, we're talking about hormone replacement treatment. We're not going to talk about this 100% here because we're talking about lifestyle changes, lifestyle intervention. However, it is true that some women may be predisposed to developing breast cancer as a result of HRT, as a result of hormone replacement therapy. It's not 100%. There's been some studies done about it and now some new studies coming up. And this is not a subject that we're going to treat here. So the idea is so that you learn from the knowledge that is already available for you and that you've set up your own priorities. So already you can write down, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? And how can you integrate it? So what do you need in your life to reduce? Do you want to reduce the risk of breast cancer? Why do you want to reduce it? Is that something that you need? I think all women need this, but your own needs are different. What is it that you want? And then how can you integrate it in your life? So we're going to offer some information, also recommendations, but then you're going to say, well, I cannot apply this into my life. This is not possible. This is a little bit like, say, for example, that you need to get a new car. You need to get a car because you got a new job. Yes, you need to get a car. It's really far away. You need to get there. This job is really important for you, and you need to buy a car. So that's the need. Now, perhaps you want a hybrid Toyota that costs, like a lot of money, thousands and thousands, thousands of euros or dollars, and that's what you want. But then you look at your bank account, you look at your resources, you look at your environment, how you live. If you buy this car, then you're not going to be able to maybe pay your mortgage. So you cannot have exactly what you want. So you need something realistic that you can integrate into your life and that you can apply. So you would probably compromise and get yourself a different kind of car and not the latest hybrid super duper car, family car with a 6-seater, etc., because the idea is great. This is great. I mean, I want to be completely cancer free and change every single product that I use and eat only green vegetables, and maybe sleep 8 to 9 hours really well every night, never to drink alcohol, never to smoke, never to do this, have a wonderful social life and the perfect mental health situation. But is that possible? Is that realistic in your life? So this is when you really have to make your own decision. You have to make your own decision about, okay, I know what I need, I know what I want. What can I implement realistically into my life? What are the changes that I can do really? And we begin from there. You are going to make your own decision so that you step into your power. So it's not about me telling you you should do this, 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 and this. It's not about the medical or the science telling you women should do this and this and this and this to prevent the risk of or to prevent breast cancer. But you have the power. You have the power to say, thank you for the information. Now this is what I decide to do. And this is really important, because the more you do it from your own power, the more likely you're going to be able to apply it and stick to it and make it successful. Now, as I said, the main areas that we're going to focus on are lifestyle factors. So more nutrition, exercise, we will mention toxic substances such as alcohol, sleep, and mental health as well. So these are the factors that are going to be more in our hands. So imagine that you're living somewhere and there's a power plant or something where perhaps could be, or there's some toxins in the river, by the river that you live, or the sea, if you live by the coast. Now, there's not much that you can do about that. Of course, you can join environmental groups, etc., and you can move house. But that is more beyond your day-to-day powers, your day-to-day that, okay, I decided, I make the decision to do this. So this is why we want to offer this in particular, these options, because we know that this is something that you can do every day and that you can make a difference to change. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and I know that this is a difficult subject for a lot of you, is weight. Unfortunately, overweight and obese women have a higher risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer compared to women who maintain a healthy weight, especially after the menopause. Okay, so being overweight or obese after the menopause increases the risk. Now, however, the link between extra weight and breast cancer is complicated, is complex, and there's also other factors involved. Okay, so don't think, oh my God, not everybody who's overweight, and not everybody who's overweight after the menopause, they're going to have cancer. Of course not. Yes, there are other factors involved, but it is important to know this. Here you have the information. And in particular, about fat in the abdominal area seems to have a higher risk factor. The reason for it, and you're going to receive this information, is because of the behavior of the fat cells around the abdomen. They also produce estrogen even after the menopause. And the behavior of that estrogen is going to be inflammatory. and is going to have a different effect than, say, for example, the estrogen that is produced by the ovaries before the menopause. So this is important to know, that fat tissue and the fat cells do cause a reaction of inflammation in the body. And that is connected with the growth of cancer cells as well. So this is very important to simply understand it. And you will receive some information about this. And this particular information is provided by breastcancercare.org, but you can also find it in many, many other sources as well and resources. So you will receive some information about why does excess of fat increase the risk of breast cancer? What is going on? Why does it happen? What is the process? So there is a reason, a scientific reason behind it. People are just not saying that overweight and obesity causes cancer, and particularly breast cancer, but it is something that it is real. Yes, it is science-based. Still, it doesn't mean, because there are other factors involved, that everybody who's overweight will develop breast cancer.